Water and air, the two essential fluids on which all life depends, have become global garbage cans. Pollution in the oceans is one of the biggest issues for our world since it is slowly ruining our waters and our environment. Every day, people are polluting our oceans without even realizing it. Just by buying plastic bottles at the store instead of refilling old bottles makes the pollution even worse. Plastic is one of the most common types of pollution in the oceans, and often animals mistake that for food. Everyone can relate to this topic because we all live in the same world that is being polluted, and it is making our environment worse and unhealthy. So throughout this speech, I'll be looking at different types of pollution in the oceans and how it is really affecting the people around it, the environment, and the wildlife living in it. Littering is one of the biggest types of pollution, if not the biggest, and the impact that it has on our oceans and marine life in them is enormous. Around 70% of the litter in the ocean eventually sinks to the seafloor. A 10-meter whale was found off the coast of Spain that was dead, and after doing an autopsy on the whale, it was found that the whale's stomach had over 17 kilograms of greenhouse supplies in it, which included sheeting, rope, and flower pots, that was all discarded into the ocean into the Mediterranean Sea. Most likely, this whale mistook all of this for food and ended up dead because of it. Another dangerous type of pollution is ghost nets. Ghost nets are fishing nets that are often left in the ocean or lost after someone went fishing. These nets are nearly invisible in dim light, which make them hard to be seen by animals. Ghost nets are some of the most dangerous type of littering to the marine wildlife since they can get caught in it and are not able to get out of it to swim and survive. Littering is not only dangerous to the environment and the animals living in it, but also it impacts boats and the people around it. Many times, littering can affect boats because it will get caught in their motors and cause the boat to break down. It affects the people on the beaches because it washes ashore, which causes for the beaches to look trashy. But more importantly, pollution can seep into groundwater and make it contaminated to the people drinking it, which can cause obvious health issues. Did you know that an estimated 100,000 marine mammals and up to 1 million seabirds die every year after ingesting or being tangled up in plastic marine litter? I don't think many people really realize the effect that littering has on the animals that are surrounded by it, and how much deaths it is reliable for regarding sea animals. There is also part of the ocean that is called the Pacific Garbage Patch that houses much of the garbage and litter that has gone into the Pacific Ocean. That area has increased by 100 times within the last 40 years. Lastly, the main 5 oceans, which include the North Atlantic, the South Atlantic, the North Pacific, the South Pacific, and the Indian Ocean, all have an estimated 100 million tons of marine litter in them, and there is an estimated 20 million tons of plastic that enters the oceans each year. So clearly, littering is a very dangerous type of pollution and affects many different things around it, from the environment to the wildlife to the people around it. But littering is not the only type of pollution that ends up in our oceans. Another large type of pollution in the oceans that I'll be looking at is spills, such as oil spills. They seem like they won't make such a large impact, but they do, and they cover much more of the ocean than you would think. Any animal that goes near an oil spill has a chance of dying from it, and they may also be spilt in one spot but will spread a lot and very fast throughout the water and cause major damage to the ocean. If an oil spill reaches the coast, it can not only impact the wildlife or the environment of the beach itself, but also the humans that are on that beach. Most likely, you remember the Gulf of Mexico oil spill that began on April 20th, 2010. That was one of the worst oil spills in history. It killed so much of the marine life around it and took many years to clean up. Chances are it still isn't even all cleaned up even after 8 years. I remember seeing many pictures of marine life that was caught in it and were covered in oil. Many of them died since oil will kill them quickly. The impact that these types of tragedies have on our environment is enormous and will affect them for many years after it happened. Certain types of oil spills will evaporate or decompose easier than others. Oil in water spreads very fast and takes many years to break down. Between 20 and 40% of oil's mass turns into gases, which are unhealthy for humans to breathe in. So clearly, oil spills can not only affect the environment and the marine wildlife, but also the humans around it, breathing in the gases that are being let off from it. Oil spills seem like they're the most disastrous type of pollution because they can spread fast, and if it's a certain type of oil spill, it'll take them years to evaporate if they do at all. And any animal or human that encounters it risks a chance of injury or death. So by helping to prevent oil spills from the bigger manufacturers, it will help our oceans stay clean of oil. Pollution is something that is hard to stop, and hard if not impossible to recover all of it from the ocean, but there are ways to help and clean up from it and try to stop it. One of the best ways to help prevent ocean pollution is to stop buying water bottles since most of the plastic ends up in the oceans. Start by using water bottles and refilling them instead of buying plastic or packages of plastic water bottles at the store. Another way of helping to prevent pollution is if you start putting pressure on manufacturers to help and prevent pollution, they may stop polluting the environment since they still want consumers to buy their products. If multiple groups of people put pressure on the same manufacturer, they'll be tempted to stop polluting, and it will slowly help with the amount of pollution in the oceans. By cooking more food at home instead of buying food that comes in plastic containers or other containers that are harmful to the environment, you can also help in stopping pollution through that. One last example to help and stop pollution is when you go to the grocery store, instead of using their paper or plastic bags to put your grocery bags in, bring your own recycled bags that many of the grocery stores are now selling. That will help and stop preventing more plastic bags from going into the oceans. These are just a few of the ways out of many more that help and stop or reduce pollution in the oceans. Just by doing some of these, you'll be helping and stopping the deaths of millions of marine lives. Overall, clearly ocean pollution and any type of pollution is very harmful to our environment and needs to be stopped. The two biggest types of pollution are littering and oil spills. Those two types of pollution seem to cause the most damage to our environment and the wildlife that is living in it. Littering causes more problems than people really think. It can not only affect the environment that we live in, but also the marine wildlife in the oceans and even the people that are surrounded by it. When oil gets spilt into one spot, it will spread quickly to many other parts of the ocean and cause damage to those parts. And it takes a very long time to be cleaned up or to evaporate, if it can even evaporate at all. So even by starting to take the small steps to help stop pollution, we'll be making a large impact on our environment. So you can start by taking those few small steps to stop pollution, and you'll be having a bigger impact on this world than you know.